Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
How did you know how to? Did he tap you, or
He feels everything.
you didn't? He just knew.
He just feels everything.
Really? Tell me the truth. Huh?
He told me.
Oh, okay. Well, here we are again. And there's some people that weren't with us for parts 1 and part 2. Here's a correction from part 2. According to the PowerPoint, 1 Muhurta is 2 hours. That's wrong. Boo. Some of you probably caught it. Didn't catch it. Muhurta is 48 minutes. And the commentary says 48 minutes, and somehow it said 2 hours. But we corrected it. And we'll have to correct the Chinese version also, because they didn't get to part 2 yet. As you saw, for those of you that were with us for Wednesday evening, they're just discussing chapter 15, but then after chapter 15 comes chapter 16. So for those of you that need a little review, the Kaliya-damana-lila takes place when Krishna is 6 years old, because in the very beginning of chapter 15, Krishna is already 6 years old, and their 6 years old marks Gopastami, when Krishna graduates from calves to cows. And they have a big festival, Gopastami, still in our Vaishnava calendar celebrated. So Krishna's 6, and he has just spent the first half of chapter 15 just playing and playing and playing, the cowherd boys being cowherd boys, 6-year-old boys going off to the forest together with no supervision. What are they going to do? We know what they're going to do. But they do with Krishna because they've earned the capacity to be residents of Vrindavan, and then there's such nice description of the trees and the water and the river and the this and the that and the bees and the bugs and the creepers and they're all experiencing the benefit of being with Krishna, and the dust of Krishna on the ground, and with his marks on his feet, and there's marks on his feet in this chapter also. So it's Krishna with the cowherd boys in Vrindavan, and the love for Krishna in Vrindavan. And this chapter 16 begins in chapter 15, just after Krishna kills Dhenukasura. And then comes the beginning of its Leela. So it's now summertime, and summertime in Vrindavan equals super hot. And when it was super hot, Mother Yashoda warned the boys, because Krishna does what he wants to do anyways. Keep Krishna away from this Kaliya lake, because it's well known as it's super poisonous. Don't go near Kaliya lake. She specifically said, And sure enough, that's what they did. They went to Kaliya Lake, and the earlier part, the cows went in first, and they died. And the cowherd boys, being so attached to the cows, they entered the Kaliya Lake, and they died. And then Krishna hadn't been there yet. He saw the dead cows and dead cowherd boys. He is their life and soul, and vice versa. And so by his glance, we discussed, the power of Krishna's glance. Because when he travels, the same boy with a sword, can you not wave that sword around? Can you not wave that sword around? Give me your sword. Give me your sword. Thank you. An exhibitionist. Takes all kinds. Okay. Krishna's glance. So when he glances at the cowherd boys and the cows, they come back to life. It's like they were unconscious, but they were dead, and they start talking to each other, saying, "How did we come back from the dead? We were dead." Nice conversation. And, Krishna is magical. But Krishna is the protector of his devotees, and he doesn't want this poisonous serpent to just continue to give difficulty to the birds that fly over its head, and because there's fumes coming out of this lake. We heard that this Kaliya had mystic powers whereby he could build structures using water. There's a mystic Shakti. And he knew it, so he built a little palace for himself underwater with water. Most of us can't do stuff like that, but he could, and some mystic yogis can do that. And then he had a whole bunch of other, snakes, serpents that were also poisonous, and they had their holes. And he had like this very, very special place where nothing could, he had exclusive rights to his cave in his palace. So Krishna decided, I want to get rid of this fellow. But a very nice feature of this pastime is he's a demon. You will see as we go along, we already heard. He tried to bite Krishna. He's poisonous. He'd kill him. He wanted to kill Krishna. Of course, Kamsa wanted to kill Krishna too, but somehow Krishna killed Kamsa, and Krishna just rescued Kaliya. There was something about Kaliya that was worth saving. He wasn't a lost cause. So Krishna climbed up the Kadamba tree. He jumped in the Kadamba tree, from the Kadamba tree into the lake. Waves that washed for so many bow links in all directions, big waves. And Kaliya heard, then Krishna started splashing around, like playing in the water, moving his arms and purposefully making a lot of noise. And Kaliya, super envious Kaliya, rose from his hiding place and came to the surface and stared at Krishna. It's one of those really nice paintings. Krishna's standing there with his hands on his hips. And Kaliya is this giant creature. And they're looking at each other. There's no match, because Kaliya is this huge poisonous thing. And there's this little boy, 6-year-old boy. Breakfast. And then Krishna acts in such a way that he allows himself to be wrapped in the coils of the Kaliya serpent. We're going to hear, in part 3, we're going to hear allusions to something from part 2 that we heard already this morning. where the biting and the putting him in the coils was like, this is Sanatan Goswami, was like a lover's kiss and a lover's embrace. And, Kaliya was doing those things. If you look at the brighter side, that's what he was doing. He was trying to kill Krishna. That's what he was doing. And then, where we ended is Krishna decided, okay, enough. Because he's been in the coils of the Kaliya serpent for one muhurta, or 48 minutes. And there were omens in the sky, and omens, the three omens we heard. The twitching of the left eye, the earthquakes. The demigods were making arrangements so that the residents of Vrindavan could hurry up and go to the Kaliya lake and be in anxiety. Because that was a transcendental anxiety, the transcendental kind, the kind we know. And meteors falling from the sky. So, they showed up at the shore of the Kaliya lake, and they saw Krishna in the coils of the Kaliya serpent. And they fainted. And then the last part is, when they came to external consciousness, they were ready to give up their lives to save Krishna. There's no saving Krishna. It's a poisonous, super, super poisonous place. So they were going to enter and give up their life. If they could somehow save Krishna, Balaram stopped them. We had this nice discussion about, they were respectful to Balaram, even he's just 6-year-old boy. So this is the adults. Then the scene of the gopis and what their feelings were, and the whole of Vrindavan was like in bedlam. Their intelligence was rearranged, or deranged. They were acting like mad people, beside themselves. With their intelligence was gone. They just absorbed and thought of it's just the pastime, immersed in thought of Krishna. Krishna comes up with creative ways to immerse his associates in ecstatic thought of him, even when it's the wrong kind, or the anxiety kind. And that's where we left off. So then Krishna's decided, okay, enough of this. So he's going to make his escape. Just sneak preview. He makes his body bigger because he can Mahima Lagima. So he does the Mahima one. He gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And coils of a serpent are also, serpents can stretch. So the serpent stretched and stretched, but Krishna got so big he couldn't stretch anymore. Kaliya. And he was screaming in pain, and Krishna got bigger. And then all of a sudden, really small, boop, and he popped out. And then we'll find out what the rest of what he does. That's part 3. And then the end of part 3 is the wives of the Kaliya serpent come forward. And that's going to be part 4. And there are 6 parts. Because the prayers of the wives of the Kaliya serpent are like Queen Kunti's prayers. They're really elevated. These ladies, whoever was their teacher, they're amazing. Married to Kaliya. What to do? So we will resume this little exercise. Hopefully it's going to work the sound system. There's a recording of Shatarupa singing, and it's responsive, so you have to hint. In between slokas, pause, because if not, you'll mess up. And then wait till she starts, and then you can. So there's it goes through it twice. I hope it works. Oh boy. There. Pause.
दुष्टाचिनी कुटिलवलने शोभयत्येषलोकम् दुष्टाचिनी कुटिलवलने शोभयत्येषलोकम् तद्विक्रान्तस्त्वमुदितपद द्वन्द्वपङ्केरुहाङ्कम्
तद्विक्रान्तस्त्वम् उदितपदा द्वन्द्वपङ्केरुहाङ्कम्
कुर्वन्तर्वीकरो नमनहे ताण्डवे दण्डयामि
Oh Lord Krishna, with its crooked motions, Kutila, crooked, Valinai, with its crooked motions and the sharp fangs of its wicked desires, the great snake of my mind torments the entire world. We had some discussion about these language of Rupa Goswami's poetry. Oh, all-powerful Lord, oh, crusher of Kaliya, please punish that snake with your dancing. Please place on it the mark of your lotus feet on his mind. Isn't it nice? Isn't it nice? Let's do it again. I like it. Oh, Lord Krishna, with its crooked motions and sharp fangs of its wicked desires, the great snake of my mind torments the entire world. Oh, all-powerful Lord, oh, crusher of Kaliya, please punish that snake with your dancing. Please place on it the mark of your lotus feet. Because that's exactly what Krishna did with the Kaliya serpent. He was this and he was that, and Krishna punished him by his dancing. And we'll hear today, this session, he punished him. But the punishment was removal of wickedness. And so when it was all done, his wickedness was gone. By the touch of Krishna's feet. You know, it took a bunch. But he gradually became completely freed from material contamination by Krishna's dancing on his hoods. So, my dear Krishna, please dance on the Kaliya-like mind that I have. Place your marks of your lotus feet there. Okay, so the headline or the subtitle, Kaliya's Rage and Krishna's Dance. And here's the first verse. Verse 24. By the way, the 23 is the verse where it says, for one Muhurti he was in the coils of the Kaliya serpent and then decided, he just decided, Enough of this. His coils tormented by the expanding body of the Lord, Kaliya released him. In great anger, the serpent then raised his hoods high and stood still, breathing heavily, a serpent ready to attack, with his hoods raised. His nostrils appeared like vessels for cooking poison, and the staring eyes in his face appeared like firebrands. Thus, the serpent looked at the Lord. That's the translation for text 24. Now here's some commentary and some nice graphics also. This is Sanatana Goswami. By Krishna slightly expanding his body, the snake's coils began to ache, as if being torn. The word Atma indicates that Kaliya identified with his body and thus felt extreme pain. Now note the difference between this image. Krishna has his right hand up and is just slightly expanding his body. Now there's blood pouring out of the body of the Kaliya serpent. Krishna's body had been bound tightly by Kaliya's coils. When Krishna expanded his body, the snake began breathing loudly because of anger arising from pain inflicted on his coil. His nostrils were filled with poison, and thus, by breathing heavily, he released more poison. Place is bloodying up the place at the same time. Now notice the demigods appeared in the sky. His nostrils were like pots of poison. His glances were red, filled with poison. He released flames of poison from his mouth. The descriptions become more and more fearsome. And the point is, the demigods are observing all this. They're going to celebrate when Krishna does what he does. Wait and see. The snake glared at Krishna. He's got his hands on his hips now. Who was eager to take away Kaliya's residence, Harim, or remove his bad qualities. The real meaning is, so this is our Sanatana Goswami taking the best out of the poison. Kaliya looked at Krishna because Krishna was most attractive. He did not feel pain. He was angry out of affection because Krishna quickly separated from his embrace. His nostrils holding pots of poison and his mouth emitting flames are natural qualities of the snake. Next verse. Again and again, Kaliya licked his lips with his bifurcated tongues as he stared at Krishna with a glance full of terrible, poisonous fire. Now this painting shows he's dancing on Kaliya's hoods already. That hasn't happened yet. Here's what's going on. He's looking at Krishna. Krishna's looking at him. So what's Krishna going to start doing? He's going to make him dizzy. He's going to move around so swiftly, and Kaliya is going to move this way and move that way, and he's going to make Kaliya dizzy. Krishna doesn't get dizzy. But Krishna playfully circled around him, just like Garuda would play with a snake. In response, Kaliya also moved about, looking for an opportunity to bite the Lord. But he moved too fast. Of course, this shows he was swimming, but who knows how he moved. He moved. And Kaliya was getting dizzy and weak. Having severely depleted the serpent's strength with his relentless circling, Sri Krishna, the origin of everything, pushed down Kaliya's raised shoulders and mounted his broad serpentine heads. Now there's different parts of a snake body, and he has shoulders apparently, because he climbed down his shoulders. and then climbed from his shoulders to his hood, and then he's dancing on his hood. Now he's his Natabar phase. Thus Krishna, the original master of all fine arts, began to dance. His lotus feet deeply reddened by the touch of the numerous jewels upon the serpents' heads. Now, how does a serpent get jewels on his heads? Well, according to the Vedas, there's a certain kind of rain and a certain kind of serpent. When water falls on the hood or the head of the serpent, a jewel forms. Fantasy, right? Fairy tales. What kind of people are you? You're silly. So you can wave that whole idea away if you like, but there were hoods, there were jewels that were bright and made his reddish feet look even redder, like a nightlight or something. Kaliya, who had very high shoulders, gradually became tired from turning around to catch Krishna. This is Vishwanath. Thus, Krishna was able to bend down his head with one hand. So he had many heads, his heads. Raising himself upon Kaliya's head, or heads, he began to dance. He danced with his lotus feet. This is Vishwanath continuing, which were reddened because of the hard touch of all the jewels on Kaliya's head. A dancer sometimes dances on various objects, such as dishes, to show his expertise. Is that true? It's true. We're going to see some nice photographs. They're not just dancing on dishes, they're dancing on spherical balls. And here's some dancers dancing on dishes. So, they didn't make it up. Sometimes. Krishna danced on the moving heads of Kaliya to show that he was the original guru of all fine arts. He also especially wanted to show the young women of Braja his skill in dancing. Because everybody's watching, remember, it's the whole of Braja. It's a whole show. Krishna grabbed Kaliya's head with his hand, he has many heads, and forced it to bow down. Most people of the world are quite reluctant to bow down to the Supreme Person. As conditioned souls, we become proud of our insignificant position and are reluctant to bow down before the Lord. Welcome. Right on time, fashionably late. Don't mind me, I'm just teasing. Now, one devotee in China just translated part 3 from English to Chinese, and their note at the end of the translation, I pray that I may also bow my head before Krishna, before he smashes me dancing on my head, forcing me to bow down. So, there's, as Shivram says, that's a takeaway for all of us. Is he here? No. So he'll be watching. He'll get it. Now again, this is BBT. This is a section of 10th Canto Bhagavatam after Prabhupada departed from this world. So it's not Prabhupada. It's BBT. It's the commentators. The Sanskrit team. Therefore, the Supreme Lord's energy in the form of irresistible time, that's what the image is. It's the form of Krishna. Chapter 10, Bhagavad Gita. Time I am, destroyer of all things. Vibhuti Yoga chapter. In the form of irresistible time, kills all conditioned souls, no, the bodies, not their souls, and thus forces them to bow down their arrogant heads. continuing BBT, we should therefore give up the artificial position of material life and become faithful servants of the Supreme Lord, enthusiastically bowing down at his lotus feet. So there's some choices being made in this diagram on the right. There's Maya Devi extending, promises for happiness and people liking it, and then going somewhere in between and further up, and then Vaikuntha. So there's choices. Give up the lower ones and take the higher ones. Now notice this is color coded. There's in the kind of orangish color is Tadiya. What does Tadiya mean? Those of you that do deity worship, what does Tadiya mean? Paraphernalia. Those items that you use in worship of the deity. Your chamara and your conch shell and the bell for making offerings and all the paraphernalia, everything. Tadiya. And they're all Tadiya, they're worshipable. A second meaning is the associates of the Lord. They're Tadiya, like Garuda and other associates of the Lord. They're Tadiya. And that's the meaning here. Tadiya, his servants, with great pleasure, began accompanying the Lord's dancing by playing mridangas and panavas and anakas. They also made offerings of songs, flowers, and prayers. Now, Sanatana Goswami is going to describe that the sequence is out of order, but it's okay. Tadiya refers to the Lord's associates like Garuda. The others in the list are from Swarga. The Gandharvas and others in the list can be those residing in Vaikuntha, meaning the as above, so below. There's manifestations in the below region. They're expansions from the above region, from the Vaikuntha realm. Everything that exists here has its spiritual counterpart. That's what's being said by Sanatana Goswami. So here's the list. He says it's out of order. Charnas served by playing instruments. Gandharvas served by singing. Devatas and their wives served by showering flowers. The Apsaras, well, usually they danced, but they weren't going to compete with Krishna, so they showered flowers too. The Siddhas served by offering various fragrances and perfumed powders. The sages by offering prayers. And Krishna's doing his dance. And there's some very nice images of by different artists of Krishna doing his dance on the hoods of the Kaliya serpent. Kaliya's nasty. He wants to, with so many hoods, wants to bite Krishna, but Krishna's a better dancer than he is a biter. And da 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 da. Is she here? Varsana? Yeah. She sent me because I asked her and she found. I just had a question. Where did this come from? Is this you as an artist made this drawing?
No, that.
Huh? Varsana,
Maharaj.
did you make this drawing?
Oh, no, no.
Oh, no. Where did it come from? You found it.
Yes.
Somewhere.
Yeah, it's online.
It's online.
Read it.
Okay. Well, the deity, the deity in Guruvayur is a four-armed Vishnu form, forearms, and various occasions, because the perspective is there are various avatars of Vishnu. So Krishna is one of the avatars of Vishnu. So they show Krishna dancing on the hoods of a Kaliya serpent, using sandalwood and so forth and so on. They're not supposed to take pictures. So this is an artist depiction. And then, as we heard her say, there's lamps, and you could barely see, but you could see just with the glow of the lamps, because there's no artificial lighting, it's just lamps. But somebody made a nice depiction of, and the spelling, I adjusted the spelling because that's the spelling that BBT uses, or Prabhupada uses in his publications, and otherwise, Natavara Krishna, dancing Krishna, the best of dancers, not just dancer. And there he is dancing. And there they are showering flowers. Look at that. And, zooming around in the sky. And so we discussed this a little bit. We'll do it again because it's nice. Going back to chapter 14, Lord Brahma says that these little boys, they're far more elevated than us demigods, because they can take part in Krishna's pastimes. They have Krishna performs his pastimes for their pleasure, and they take pleasure in associating with Krishna in their pastimes, because he watched the whole thing. That entering into the mouth of Aghasura, what they did all before, they entering into the chapter 13, chapter 12, then the Aghasura demon, you saw the whole thing. So they're seeing from their vimanas up in the sky, but these cowherd boys, they're far more elevated than us spiritually, because we can see, they can participate and experience. He's realizing. We should also realize we're hearing what the demigods have seen, and how exalted are these cowherd boys, and all the associates of Vrindavan, for that matter, because the earlier part of chapter 15 was the trees, and Krishna putting his arm on Balaram's shoulder, saying, just see how these trees are honoring you, and see the bumblebees, and see this and see that, and they're just singing your glories, and you're the best. And they're here just for your pleasure. So, because this was performed out of affection, as a sudden worship in a crowded situation, the order of offerings mentioned in this verse is not correct. Or, out of love, everyone performed all other services. Or, Sukadeva Goswami just lost it. He was in so much ecstasy. He didn't know what he was doing. It's okay. Seeing the Lord dancing, his servants in the heavenly planets immediately arrived there. Hey, a dance performance. With great pleasure they began accompanying the Lord's dancing by playing their musical instruments. They also made offerings of songs, flowers, and prayers. This is another BBT translation of the verse. And here's Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur. Count on Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur to say something that knocks your socks off. So hold on to your socks. Krishna danced even without musical accompaniment by personally calling out syllables such as Thai, Thai, to imitate the sound of a musical instrument. The impression given is that Krishna, upon seeing the gopis, was considering, we will meet together to dance like this sometime in the future. The word natram is a substitute for the word natitram, which means to dance. So, examples, he later will perform rasa dance. And in Brihad Bhagavatamrita goes even further. Kaliya returned to this lake in the Jamuna, and then Krishna came to teach him a second lesson. he, with the gopis on the hoods of the Kaliya serpent, they all danced, rasa dance, on the Kaliya serpent's hoods. Haribol. Later in the future, we'll. Next. Kaliya had 101 prominent heads. When one of them would not bow down, Lord Sri Krishna would smash that stubborn head by striking it with his feet. Now that doesn't show it in this particular illustration, but it shows it in this one. He would raise his head and Krishna would see the head raised and he'd pounce on the head. Shataika here means 100 chief heads, because the 13th verse, 1,000 heads are mentioned. Krishna suddenly jumped upon those heads which had not bowed down, striking them with his feet, smashing them with his feet. Blood then began to flow from Kaliya's mouths and noses, depicted in this painting, and more fire and everything else. You see the background. Look carefully at all these paintings. There's some nice artwork. There's the residents of Vrindavan lined up along the bank, watching the spectacle of it. But at the one hand, the dance, because Krishna is no longer in the coils, he's dancing. And doesn't show in this painting, but the demigods are up in the sky. Then, as Kaliya entered his death throes, he began wheeling his heads around and vomiting ghastly blood from his mouths and nostrils. Next verse. Exuding poisonous waste from his eyes, Kaliya would occasionally dare to raise up one of his heads, which would breathe heavily with anger. Let's see what Sanatana Goswami has to say about that. Then the Lord would dance on it and subdue it, forcing it to bow down with his foot. The demigods took each of these exhibitions as an opportunity to worship him. So here he is, smashing the one hood that dared to rise up, and Krishna would pounce on him, get down, purify. Though all his limbs were out of control, poison came gushing only from his eyes. This indicates the snake's cruel glance. There are two meanings here. He's going to unpack. Pounding with his feet on Kaliya's heads while dancing, Krishna removed the natural faults of the snake. He used his head, Kaliya's head, as the main prop, and removed all his evil nature, his strength, and pride. As you see, there's different art styles. So this art style shows the wives of the Kaliya serpent, the lower parts of their body are snake-like, and the upper parts of their body are human-like. That's this artist. He punished the snake in places which held poison. Now, previously it just said the poison was held at his eyes. But through this, the snake also received great fortune from the touch of his feet. By that, again, Sanatana Goswami, the snake fainted with the bliss of prema. Not bad. Vomiting poison was the expulsion of his unlimited internal faults. He had anger, rusha, arising from love. Guess who? Sanatana Goswami. Or the word can be taken arusha, no anger. Thus he breathed without anger with devotion. Krishna made the snake give up his faults due to his nature. By that, he gave benefit to the snake. So the punishment was benediction. And sometimes benediction can be a punishment. Vishwanath, here we go. Among his heads, whichever one rose up, he, Krishna, was making that head bow down by striking of its feet. Thus, becoming satisfied, Krishna subdued that evil person. Again, we can see that villagers, the cowherd people at the shore, the bank of the river in the background. Verse number 30. Now this color-coded text is going to explain what these terms mean. The Lord's wonderful, powerful dancing trampled and broke all of Kaliya's 1,000 hoods. The number keeps moving. 1,000, 101, 100. But the starting point is 1,000. 1,000 hoods. That's a lot of hoods. Then the serpent finally recognized Sri Krishna to be the eternal personality of Godhead. And he's trying to bite him. Thus, within his mind, Kaliya took shelter of the Lord. BBT translation. Though the seed of bhakti in the form of mercy had previously been planted in Kaliya's heart by his wives, who were exalted devotees, it could not sprout because of his cruel conduct arising from aparad, as seeds sown on barren ground cannot sprout. They were about 2/3 done. There's a lot more to go, in other words. When his offense vanished through the punishment of the touch of Krishna's lotus feet, suddenly the seed began to sprout. He's becoming a transformed Kaliya. And then his wives are going to get an assist. Whereas previously Kaliya was vomiting poison, now that his poison was exhausted, he began to vomit blood. So there's his wives making offerings to Krishna. Thus he had been cleansed of this is Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada's Krishna book. He had been cleansed of the vile contamination within his heart that had manifested as the serpent's venom. His heart produced, because contamination of heart produced the venom. But the venom was exhausted, so was his vile disposition. The dancing was amazing because it included various moves such as Praranti and Rechaka, described by Bharata Muni. So I wanted to do a little research, so I did a little research. And you probably, many of you know, that Rupa Goswami's source, one of Rupa Goswami's principal sources was Bharata Muni. And a little bit, you know, whether you knew it or not, he wrote books about rasa. He wrote books about performing drama that would, and dance, drama and dance that would inspire the mudras and this and the that's, was designed to awaken a certain rasa in the audience through drama, you know, not movies, but drama. persons acting on the stage, and Bharatanatyam dance is from Bharatamuni. And much of the language, not all, but much of the language of Rupa Goswami was drawn from Bharatamuni. And this is commentary by our acharyas that certainly knew Rupa Goswami and his source, Bharatamuni, and they're mentioning certain moves in Bharatanatyam dance, such as this and such as that. So Krishna is the source. That's the message. Or it was amazing because by dancing, Krishna struck Kaliya on his head. Though he danced to punish the snake, he ultimately gave him mercy. Try to picture the scene. I mean, 1,000 hoods and Krishna's dancing on 1,000 hoods. What a scene. And there was no musical performance except the demigods from the sky, and Krishna was making sounds as if there was music. And what a display. 1,000 hoods. When the hood come up, he... Getting wounded indicates that the dancing was the greatest mercy. The snake became humbled with removal of his pride. Actually, by destroying 1,000 faults, he became pure. Thus, he remembered the Lord. Sometimes it's like that, isn't it? We don't learn too easily. We have to get smashed and smashed again. And, oh. Kaliya fixed his mind, smitva, on Krishna, who contemplated him and surrendered to him alone. He took shelter of the Lord with his mind, manasi, since he could not physically act because of great pain. Knowing, or smritva, Krishna as Narayan, understanding that he is heavier than the whole universe, made of moving and non-moving beings, since he supports everything. Though he was a child, yet he was not a child, being the oldest person, Kaliya surrendered to him. Yay. And when that act happens, the wives of the Kaliya serpent make their sudden appearance. By his touch, pure love arose within Kaliya, and similar to Bali, he recognized the Lord and took shelter of him. So he didn't make it to the list of Mahajans. But Bali does. Because he all along, Bali was born this way and that way, but he was very devoted to the Supreme Lord. He didn't try to bite the Lord either. When Kaliya's wives saw this, they felt great distress. With their clothing, ornaments, hair scattered in disarray, they then approached the eternal personality of Godhead. So are they serpents, or are they ladies, or are they serpent ladies? The art, you can't go by with it. I saw an artwork that showed this, and I saw in a movie it showed that. No good. The wives until now had been indifferent toward their cruel husband, but now they were in sorrow. They thought, let him die, and then as widows we can fully surrender to the Lord. Well, that's not exactly what they say. But when they saw the symptoms of sanchari bhava, such as humility, regret, and indifference, to his suffering condition manifest in his body, they thought, he's become a Vaishnava. This is good fortune for us. We should try to save him. Sanatana Goswami, though the Lord was pleased with his surrender, in order to show the greatness of his wives, in order to give special mercy to the wives of Kaliya, Krishna did not give up his position on Kaliya. He stayed on his hoods and in his dancing pose and the whole thing. So now, in other words, is making it such that the wives of the Kaliya serpent are going to take his side, the Kaliya's side, and appeal, please be merciful and forgive him and give your blessings to him and all those nice things. Their minds very much disturbed. Those saintly ladies, smart ladies, they placed their children before them and then bowed down to the Lord, laying their bodies flat on the ground, although they're in the water, flat on the ground, I don't know. And then they folded their hands in supplication and approached him. Now this is one artist. He has several paintings on the Kaliya-damana-lila, and here's a children's book painting. So there's the wives and the children sent in their front, so the Kali would be nice because they're little children, so be nice. Question. We're almost done, by the way. Only a couple more slides. Were they not afraid of their husband's offense? The wives felt in their hearts that Krishna was the Lord of all living beings. Though they were afraid, where else could they go? They surrendered to him, crying painfully, "Please protect us." And the last slide is a song. No dance, just a song. Okay.
Kaliyasya panaratna kuttimam kuttayan padasaroja ghattanai mangalani vitanotu tandave panditastava shikhanda shekhara.
So here it is again. You can say,
Kaliyasya panaratna kuttimam kuttayan padasaroja ghattanai mangalani vitanotu tandave
may Lord Krishna, who wears a peacock feather crown and is the expert dancer, who with his lotus feet kicked the jeweled hoods of Kaliya, grant auspiciousness to you. It's a nice meditation. I mean, as we were discussing, the flow of Krishna's pastimes keeps moving, and you never know where it's going to go next, but it's going to be ecstasy, whatever it is. And the Aghasura demon, and then Brahma appears, and Brahma's prayers, and after Brahma's prayers, they're playing again in the forest, and then Dhenukasura, and then the same chapter, Kaliya, they all get killed. Krishna's in the pastime flow has its stimulation of ecstatic love. That's the message. an overriding message. Krishna's pastimes are loving exchanges in different ways with his devotees. And in the Kaliyas, the people who are in Denukas and Agasuras and every this one, that one. So Krishna deals appropriately with each one, and there's something special. It's nice to meditate on. Especially Rupa Goswami is speaking of his mind being like Kaliya. That whatever are the internal shortcomings or faults or flaws or envy or stuff, may Krishna purify us from that by placing his feet on our mind and dancing in our mind, upon our mind. And when one of those hoods rises till there's full purification. So when we're going through ordeal, it's not fun. It feels like not fun. And you may know some people going through ordeal, or 2 or 3 or 10, and it's not fun. It's not fun to see them going through that ordeal. At the same time, a Krishna conscious perspective is, for that person, depending upon their orientation and disposition towards Krishna, it's simply purification. And Krishna exhibiting mercy such that there is no other shelter. There is no other shelter, but we think there is some other shelter. And it's this and that, the other thing, and our affinity for this and that, the other thing keeps us bound to birth and death in the material world and all the miseries that go with it. That's sad. And so when someone is going through some difficulty, it's good to be the friend of that person, and the true friend. Who's the true friend? They remind you of a true friend. Reminds you of Krishna. A true friend is one who does that gently, not forcibly, but lovingly. Help us remember that which we have forgotten. It's really, just one last, I'll end. It's really nice when someone who has been practicing sadhana bhakti for some time and they're struggling, and then Krishna's mercy, the curtain draws back, and they see that struggle was unnecessary altogether, that the solution is the simple solution. And they feel such a relief and such a burden, and and then they see the person's close to them struggling unnecessarily because they're still identifying with stuff instead of the ABC simple, and they want to share, and it doesn't. It takes a while. One has to be very pure. It has to be very patient at the same time, and. The pure message has a way of getting in. It's just like this particular pastime. There's 6 parts. And each of the parts, a little different, but, by the end, it's 6 parts. Like, wow, Kaliya became a pure devotee. Maybe I can become a pure devotee too. And just by hearing, because the palastuti that comes at the end, one who hears these pastimes or this pastime, they become freed. The potentiality or potency is there in the narration and the hearing the narration. So we do it again and again and again. It's not like we haven't heard this pastime before, but hear it again and again. And then, by gradual further purification, may there be further purification for all of us, myself included, just by hearing and reciting. following in the footsteps of. So it's a little bit like, the demigods. But Brahma was he was speaking of himself, but speaking on behalf of the other demigods. It's a very nice realization. These little boys, they're so fortunate. And because they're directly participating in Krishna's pastimes. And Krishna's doing what he's doing for them. They're allowing them to enter the Aghasura demon, the whole thing. Lila Shakti, stopping Krishna from saying, don't enter into Kaliya's or to Aghasura's, the whole thing. And then he enters, then he does what he does, And they're brought back to life because Krishna glances at them, and how fortunate. There are many, many places. There probably somebody's done a count. I haven't done an account, but how many times Prabhupada expressed the great fortune, Krita Punya Punja, the great fortune of the cowherd boys, to the point where some devotees started speculating, maybe Prabhupada's Swarup is he's a cowherd boy. Please don't speculate. I won't go into it. There was like a thing going on. Some people saying that. So there's the Nitya Siddha devotees, and there's those that may become Sadhana Siddha devotees, and they become Sadhana Siddha devotees by being in the association and the service of the Nitya Siddhas, or the Ragatmikas. This is Raga Bhakti, that we're on the path. Maybe not in the vehicle yet, but at least on the path of spontaneous love. That's Lord Chaitanya. And slowly, 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 purification may come, and that time may come when the aspiration becomes very focused and on Krishna and certain associates of Krishna and certain moods of love amongst the associates of Krishna. Go on hearing and purifying. And our acharyas they're good. They'll help. They'll hold you by the hand and take you to that place. Mukunda, I'm sure you remember making the recording of singing the verses for Manashiksha, and I, for in different circumstances, for your edification, maybe your embarrassment too, but I have the recording. I don't have the recording of your wife's narration, but I have the recording that people can hear, and then I read that, emphasize that this is our process, and the Goswamis, they're on that platform. They can come to this platform. They can come to, but they're on another platform. We had this little discussion about, are the realizations of the Goswamis as meaningful as the verses of the Bhagavatam? That was not exactly the question, but something like that. And what's the Bhagavatam? It's Vyasadev's realization. He was told, he did what Narada told, he had this trance, and then he wrote Srimad Bhagavatam, this realization. And then our acharyas, etc., etc. So the principle is the same. The standard is a gold standard for Srimad Bhagavatam. And so our acharyas have these realizations in their, like Sanatana Goswami's way of describing all of this. It's his realization. Because he sees what we don't see. Because there's something behind Kaliya's badness, that beneath that badness, there's something wonderful. And Krishna saw, and Krishna extracted it by removing the badness, by the contamination. In the full vision of all the residents of Vrindavan, they saw the whole thing. Krishna, the wonderful dancer. Okay. Premananda.
Maharaj, there was maybe.
You're on.
Yeah. It was said that the seed of devotion was already planted into the heart of Kaliya. And until the poison was removed by Krishna, that did not manifest until then. At that point, Kaliya recognizes and consciously
Surrenders.
to Krishna. So in human life, also, unless there is purification or the removal of poison from the heart, that type of surrender will not come. And I was wondering, how is it that in some cases you don't see that mercy of purification ever happening? What precipitates that mercy by which the poison is removed?
Well, it's two things, as you know. It's effort and mercy. And the topic, this question, I've been speaking on it. But from Jiva Goswami's Bhakti Sandarbha, he nails it. And there's in other places in Bhakti Sandarbha, he also nails it, other than certain ones. But it's, in principle, it's offense. And offense blocks bhakti. And the way in which offense blocks bhakti is, then there's lists. And then, the list is resting on false ego. And then upon false ego comes pride. And upon false ego, the pride of false ego comes other layers. And but it's the root is offense. So as long as one continues doing things that are offensive, even one may be in contact with that which is purifying, the mercy that's one is in contact with, it's going to continue. It's just self-perpetuating. And then one may, veer off. Or not just veer off, just plod along. So, it's effort and mercy. It's, effort and mercy. So there are different ways of detailing the effort and different ways of detailing the mercy. I'm thinking of, because, bless her heart, Mother Irmila is now, she's back and she's stopped her international travel. She's back in North Carolina and she's going to start focusing on the Vaishnava etiquette classes that she's going to give. She has started already. But she was already, anyway, because she shared with me her topics. She has 2 topics. And she's a very thoughtful person. She's a very intelligent person and very articulate. So she's going to. So that whole seminar has some of the answers. It's just not just one thing. It's multiple things. But in one word is aparad, or reactions to offense. And effort alone is not enough. The mercy to overcome that. So, but if there's not effort, then there can be, pouring down mercy, and one's got an umbrella, it doesn't experience the mercy. Okay? Yeah.
Maharaj, I have a couple of doubts.
Doubts.
So, earlier we were discussing how the Kaliya pastime is unique in that this is one demon that Krishna does not kill. And I also noticed this evening during your presentation that it seems like this is the only demon for whom some devotees advocated to Krishna on his behalf. They pleaded for mercy. I can't remember any other pastime where devotees plead to Krishna to spare his life. And so I'm wondering if that was the reason why Krishna was reciprocating with his pure devotees and showing mercy.
Well, before they stepped in and made their appeal, Krishna apparently Krishna had already made a decision. I'm just going to relieve Kaliya I'm going to relieve the residents of Vrindavan from him staying here. And that was one decision that he made. Then another is he's curable. So, but there's an obstacle to his being curable. So I'll deal with that. So Krishna saw something before the wives of the Kaliya spoke. The wives of the Kaliya serpent spoke. So he knew. He's omniscient, so he knows. Okay.
And also you said that, and also you were mentioning that he surrendered to Krishna, and he was already very remorseful. He surrendered to Krishna, and then only the wives came, seeing that there was a change in him, right?
Yes, they said that. Okay. Give the microphone back. Yes, I see Gangarai. We'll get you. She's got another part, too.
Maharaj, the particular anartha that Kaliya represents is envy in our hearts. And Kaliya is very persistent. We also heard how he is dealt with for one muhurta, which is 48 minutes. It's on the longer side of Krishna dealing with a demon. There was also an illustration in your slides where Maya Devi had, there were steps.
Yes.
And envy was at the bottom.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, is it that envy is the most insidious of our anarthas?
No. Pride. But, there's categories. What's the most? They're all in the. There's 5 that are identified as the most, and pride and envy are first and second, or second and first, or whatever. Pride and envy. Ganga Narayan, you're on.
Guru Maharaj, my question again goes to at least from what I've heard so far, about the perspective with which Srila Sanatana Goswami sees is he's almost choosing to focus on the positives.
Yeah.
Irrespective, it's blatantly, we feel that, okay, Krishna is pulverizing Kaliya here. And yet, Srila Sanatana Goswami is choosing to almost
Eulogize.
I'm trying to understand, is this the rasa of Srila Sanatana Goswami across the board, or is this kind of, is this...
He's not always
view-
like that. He's seeing what he's seeing. I mean, my understanding of his type of commentary is not always, seeing the good side and doesn't see, like everyone else sees. It's his realization. And, I can't, what's behind that realization, I can't say. But it's not consistently that, seeing the rosy.
So he doesn't have the same perspective for the other pastimes in Krishna?
Yeah, that's what I just said. He's not seeing the rosy. It's a particular realization from my reading of his commentaries and his way of expressing himself. It's Kaliya specific. Okay. I see your hand up, but just put your hand out. Go ahead, over here.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, thank you very much for a wonderful class. I have one question that's related to the Ashtadasha Chanda Stava 17.2, the first verse that we did.
Okay.
And in the translation it says that my mind tormenting the entire world or something to that effect.
Yeah, this was a question earlier. You're asking the same question again. It's fine.
My question was why the entire world? How can
There's many ways to answer that. Here's one. Consciousness. Prabhupada's explanation of consciousness is like the light of the sun spreads light throughout the whole universe. Similarly, consciousness of the soul spreads, at least through our body, but beyond our body, because we're conscious of, the kids making noise down the hall there. We're conscious of, it's other things outside of, within the body. So consciousness spreads. And his consciousness is impact the negativity, the Kaliya-like feature is impacting the world. He's not like boasting how I'm a powerful guy. He's just saying, consciousness spreads. That's one way of looking at it. The rotten apple spoils the barrel. So, consciousness.
I have one more question, but that was partly covered by Sri Radhika Mataji's question. If that is okay, may I go with the second question?
Sure.
Thank you. Maharaj, three distinct examples that I see, two from Bhagavatam, one from Ramayana, where directly or indirectly the wives or the Matajis, I don't even know how to frame the question, but the wives, for example, the wives of the Brahmanas, in today's case, wives of Kaliya, and the third example is wife of Sugriva, when Lakshman is very angry with Sugriva's discharge of, or not discharging of his responsibilities. These three examples indicate how the wives have influenced.
The wives do what?
The wives have influenced
By?
Influenced the outcome favorably in direction of their husbands.
Krishna, however, decided he didn't like, their appeal tipped the scale. He was like weighing, should I smash the guy or Krishna was going to send him away. That's it. He had already decided way back. But, send him back rather than kill him. Send him back to, where he came from. And that was Krishna's instruction. It was not by the influence of his wives. Krishna liked with his wives. They're devotees. But that didn't tip the scale. Didn't tip the scale. Nice try, though.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Yes.
Maharaj, I've heard the narration that when the cowherd boys saw the cows going in the Yamuna,
Yeah.
but, they also jumped in
Yeah.
to save them. So that reminded me of Ramayana, wherein Bharat Maharaj tried to save the moth and the steers that he got attached to. And he didn't have the same result as what the cowherd boys had. So,
Are you complaining?
no, I'm just trying to compare. Like the cowherd boys, when they participated in the pastimes of Krishna, Bharat Maharaj also participated in the pastimes of Rama,
Yeah.
and he
Different outcomes. Fantastic. The Lord is variegated. Haribol. He's not a cookie cutter supreme. It's not always the same. It's always variegated. As he likes. For his reasons. And he doesn't need to substantiate his reasons.
can have no Krishna.
Yeah. It's an observation, not exactly a question. Go ahead.
So this related to because of I'm attending this Bhakti Shastri wherein Ishopanishad is being taught, in which there's a mantra which the devotee is asking, requesting Krishna to remove the covering of the golden effulgence that he has to show his real form.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the devotee's request. I'm using the prayers whenever I see it, I worship the deities in the temples. But at the same time, I also think of like, even though Krishna met uncovered, but I need myself to be uncovered from the Maya I am covered with.
I'm waiting for the punchline.
Yeah.
I'm getting built up. What's the punchline?
Kaliya being Kaliya the serpent, being not being a devotee, not who tried to serve Krishna. He got that mercy that Krishna chanced on his heads to uncover all his.
Yeah. So Krishna saw and Krishna did. And there's when Krishna. So what prompted Krishna? Because he saw.
How can I replace the same thing to Krishna to uncover my head?
Hold on to Rupa Goswami's lotus feet, and this nice prayer. That's how. Follow the predecessor acharyas, and they're proximate. They're very accessible. And then with not only this prayer, but the writings of, so you understand the person. And the mood and the teachings and the mission, and become close to Rupa Goswami. You won't be the loser. You'll be the gainer. Is that okay? I like that answer. That's a solution. Okay, Amara, then you, okay. You get 2 microphones. No, right here. Give her. She wants.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. I'm a little bit struggling with this question itself, but it is also important for me to understand. That's why I'm asking Maharaj. Is it because of the reason that Kaliya was, there was too much suffering being caused to the Vrajavasis that Krishna actually just gave his mercy in such a way that it seemed like he was just going against his free will, Kaliya's free will, to purify him, because he was not requesting purification. And I'm thinking about my position, that I'm like requesting Krishna, like in one sense that, okay, I'm ready to give up my free will, but I really want to get closer to you and I want to remove my anarthas. But there is no, way I'm seeing. But here Kaliya is like even not asking for purification, and Krishna is so happily dancing and gladly purifying him. So is it mainly because he was causing a lot of suffering to the Vrajavasis, that's why the urgency was there? Or, how to understand this?
You know the history of how Kaliya got to the river Jamuna, right? Some of the persons in the room may not know, but because of time, I'm not going to narrate how he got there. He had envy before he got to the river Jamuna. So your question specifically is it because he was causing pain or harassment for the residents of Vrindavan, including the birds to fly over and the fish and anything moving, not moving? So Krishna wanted to purify the place. But that's true, but it's not the only thing. And an additional thing is because Krishna could have killed him. He's gone. The problem's gone. He's been killed. So there's other things moving in this dynamic. And Krishna saw something, because he's Krishna, he can see what we can't see, and he saw, although this and that and the other and the other and the other, and he had a whole army of other serpents with him. It wasn't just he and his wives. It was a whole bunch of other serpents that had holes in the lake, in that part, 8-mile long part of the river Jamuna. There's something inside of him that was worthy of not being killed. He was a corrigible, not an incorrigible person. So Krishna decided also for that reason, because there was some qualification, and Krishna gave the qualification. But yet, yes, back to the first one, the purification to relieve the Vrindavan Dham from contamination. Krishna didn't want contamination to remain, and others, Vrajavasis, and birds and fish and trees and foliage and everything, dead because of his presence. So it's a combination. And then how this applied to you? That's the starting point of the question. Here you are. And someone said, "Come on over," and you came over, and you're here, and you're hearing, and so that's the purification for us. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. And then qualitative and quantitative improving. So that's a free will choice. In your question itself, it's not an option, not a possible option to give up your free will. Sorry, but it's not an option for you. We are making free will choices, always, moment to moment. Okay. You get the last question? You want the last question?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I think Varsana Mataji also had a question. So can I ask my question after her question?
No, you ask yours and then she'll ask hers. Pass the microphone. Go ahead, you go.
I had a question, but I also had something small to share, if that's okay.
Succinct, right?
Huh?
Short.
Short.
Yeah, okay.
I just wanted to say, I've been wanting to go to India. I mean, I was very excited by the prospect of going to India potentially the next year. And I'm not a temples person. But today I was like, I really, really want to go to India because I really wanted to visit Guruvayur temple. And there are no pictures. You can just see the outside of the temple, but you can't see the deity. Yes.
You can see, but you have to keep moving because there's a big crowd.
Yes. And you showed the picture of Guruvayurappan, and that was so nice.
Okay.
Yeah. That was.
What I didn't show was the other one. You know, the poster painting, because there's no photograph of the deity. So the deity is a 4-armed Vishnu form. Next time. Now for Guruvayur, I'm ready.
So that was the thing that I had to share.
Okay.
My question was, so Kaliya has pride, like Krishna does not like pride in the demons, or he does not like pride in the devotees. And I was thinking about the sparrow story that Prabhupada talks about.
Which one?
The sparrow is angry, or
Yeah. Drying up the ocean.
Yeah.
Get back my eggs.
and the sparrow thinks about doing something impossible. It says, I'm going to drink up the ocean.
Not drink it up, but remove the water with its beak full.
Yeah. And Garuda actually helps the sparrow.
Yeah.
And the sparrow is successful. So
And you're the sparrow. You're the sparrow. You're the sparrow. And Garuda is the Vaishnavas who come along and pick you up and help you. Now.
So I was thinking, how is the sparrow not proud, but how are the demons? What constitutes pride? Like how?
What's pride? You want to know what pride is? Is that what you want to know?
Yes.
It's you know. It's a feature or a byproduct of false ego, where pride is, using Prabhupada's language, borrowed plumes. So there's some, Krishna is the source of everything, and to all living entities, Krishna is given something. So you have something, and I have something, and all of us have somethings. And pride is, I think that something is mine and me. This is false ego. It's a byproduct of, or a vestige of, or it gives an indication of the presence of false ego. So it's resting upon false ego. Pride is resting upon false ego, and it's I'm at the center, and what is it that I am proud of? It's something that came from some other place besides me, and I'm proud of it. It's me. It's mine. It's false ego. Very strong. So, this question about, is envy foremost? Pride is foremost, or pride and envy are foremost. Because if pride is, I think something is, I'm valuing overestimating the value of something, and with me at the center. No, supposing you do something, everyone has pride. Everyone. So I don't want to go into it, like giving examples. Just for you personally, if there's something that you do well, Maybe you cook well, maybe you bake well, maybe you dance well, maybe you sing well, maybe you do your academic work well, maybe you something. And then pride is what you feel about that something that it comes out nicely. That comes out nicely can be taken away in a flash. Because where'd it come from? And so we're proud of that which, we're not proud of the person that's the source, that's Krishna consciousness. The absence of Krishna consciousness is that something that comes from the source, it's mine and it's me, and I'm the possessor of, and I'm the proprietor of this and that. That's pride. Prasanna, you get the last one.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Okay. First, a clarification, Guru Maharaj. I had sent you 2 images. The one with, the four-armed form is the artist recreating the deity form.
Right.
The second image, which you also showed here, is actually a deity form of Guruvayurappan. But what I'm not able to confirm is if indeed it is from Guruvayur or from some other Guruvayurappan temples around the world. Like there's one Guruvayurappan temple even in Houston. So I'm not sure if that indeed is from Guruvayur temple.
Got it.
Now the question is, one of the image you had was Krishna bound by the coils of Kaliya and there's blood oozing out, and
Yeah.
my mind went to Damodar Ashtakam, Namaste Stu Dhamne. Satyavrata Muni says all glories to this brilliantly effulgent rope. And there the rope is, we hear that Krishna did not want to be bound and then he gets bound. But here it seems like, this material, like a Kaliya, envious Kaliya who has a material body is binding Krishna. Could you comment? Like, is he allowing himself to be bound? Is that how we should?
Yeah, it's the will of the Supreme. We have our will, and then Krishna has his will. So Krishna being bound by the rope of Mother Yashoda is also his will. Because how can he be bound? What rope can bind Krishna? So he wanted it out of love. And when she was trying, and this flowers were falling from her hair and beads of perspiration on her face, and so he allowed. Now that's out of love. Now this is another what's it arising from? So it's arising from, one of the ways to describe is, so the residents of Vrindavan could see Krishna in difficulty. He's not in difficulty. That's why Balaram was smiling. Krishna's playing. No worries. He's Krishna. Because he knows. But Krishna allowed himself, so it's his allowing himself to be bound by the coils of the Kaliya serpent, so that the residents of Vrindavan can go, and feel that rasa, the secondary rasa of astonishment, etc. It's love. He was bound by love, his love for the residents of Vrindavan. The instrument happened to be the Kaliya serpent. Then Krishna's in the heart of the Kaliya serpent, so that he can do what he did. So now, how can something material, the rope of Mother Yashoda is in a different category than the Kaliya serpent?
Right.
He's a slimy guy. So how can something which be by Krishna's will? It's part of the purification. It's part of Krishna's will. I want to purify. I could kill him. I want to purify him. at the same time, there's 16 other things. So, by the touch of Krishna, it became just like the water that had overflowed didn't kill the residents of Vrindavan when they fell in the water by the shore, because there was still some water because it had been touched by Krishna. So the coils of the Kaliya serpent had become spiritualized, you can say, by the touch of Krishna. And that's how, by his will, for purification purpose, as well as rasa purposes with the residents of Vrindavan. He's doing the same thing. It's affecting different people in different ways. He's the supreme pure, no problem. Kaliya serpent, ropes, whatever he wants. And that becomes purified by his touch. Therefore it's Tadiya. The body of Kaliya became Tadiya. What's a brass bell? Brass bell. Sits on a shelf and it's a brass bell. Use it in Krishna's service and it becomes Tadiya.
This morning we heard how Krishna wanted to show the viciousness of Kaliya and he stayed bound for a muhurta. And here from this word Tadiya, we can see the other side. It's almost like Kaliya is being, glory is being added to him because he's now become part of this pastime where he receives Krishna's lotus feet and on his head and he's...
Then there's the intention became purified. The intention didn't start nice. Sanatana Goswami was more than generous. But that's Sanatana Goswami. But he became purified in the course of the Leela. Now, how many times pouncing and pouncing and pouncing and pouncing and pouncing and pouncing? Because Krishna's just a small boy, but he's heavier than the heaviest at the same time. So that heavier than the heaviest on his hoods, and he was a difficult case to purify. But the capacity of Krishna was such, and the pastime is such, that he became fully purified. Now, I think we'll end with this. One of the things that I contemplate about this Leela is, what's it going to take for me? The purification. How many difficulties and hardships and circumstances until the full surrender is all that's left, because there's nothing left. He's a great, this question that was raised before, what makes Krishna decide, or in Kaliya's case, what made Krishna decide he's a fit case for my mercy? And why not someone else or another circumstance? Krishna gives his mercy equally, but he is able to evaluate the best way for that mercy to come. So he gives to the coward boys this way, and he gives to the Putana that way, and gives to different personalities in different ways. And it's just part of the big picture of Krishna knows, and Krishna does, and he's engaging in loving exchange with Kaliya even while pouncing on his hoods. What's it going to take for each one of us? Srila Prabhupada ki.